In this video, I'm just going to go over the solutions for this lesson for the questions that I didn't cover before. So on page 3, we're going to take a look at that question first. So you have an experiment and you have the placebo group and the medication group. Or I'm sorry, the new experimental medication and the current. You have these two groups. Again, you're calculating mean difference. It's going to tell you which order to do the subtraction in. So you get negative 0.15 and then explain its meaning. Group B had a higher average inflammation rate by 0.15% because they did say they were measured in percentages. So then they're looking at the difference of negative 0.15 or more. So that's negative 0.1, negative 1.15 would be about here. So everything there or less. So I counted up those dots. 10 out of 100 is 10%. So there's not a statistically significant difference in the inflammation percentage for the groups because a value of negative 0.15% or less or lower occurs 10%, which is more than 5%. So a couple things, make sure you're being explicit of what the difference is, and is it or less or more, and then you're comparing the percentage to 5%. Moving on to page 4. So you're talking about a memory test on scented paper versus unscented. They want now the difference of scented minus unscented. This is the first time where we're going to have a positive difference. Remember, this x with the bar over it is the sample mean. This is the sample standard deviation. So we're subtracting the means to get 5. In context, on average, the people's score on the scented paper was 5 points higher than those unscented. So they did just re-randomizing all their scores 1,000 times, and you can see the difference is 0. That would mean if there was no difference. Now we want to look at the likelihood that they got 5 or higher. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. They actually want the confidence interval here. So remember from last class, it's going to be the mean, 0.03, plus or minus 2 times the standard deviation. And I barely remember to put the 2 in there, but I did. Plug that into your calculator. You're going to get negative 3.07 to 3.13. And now we're comparing our result of 5. Is it in there or it's not? It's not in here. So yes, the result is statistically significant because 5, make sure you reference the difference, is not in the confidence interval. And make sure you reference the confidence interval. 5 is not in this confidence interval, so it's considered unusual or it's considered statistically significant. Okay, let's take a look at page 5. What you'll notice here, this is a little bit different. They give you all of the data, but that's just extra information we don't need. She thinks that drinking energy makes students read faster. Explain why she may be incorrect. So group 1 drank the energy drink, group 2 did not. But you can see you have some students in group 2 like 12.7 versus 19.6, 16.9 versus 18.6, and there's a couple others at the end. So it could have happened by chance, or you see some students read faster just drinking the cola than they did the energy. So some possible reasons her results might be wrong. And now they looked at the difference. Well, the difference here is going to be 17.7 minus 19.1, which they have listed here. And if you did that actual subtraction, you're going to get negative 1.4. So that's where this is coming from. This negative 1.4 or more unusual. If we sum all of those up. And I did my best to show the frequencies that I added up here on the side. 22 out of 232 is 9.5%. And there's that difference of negative 1.4 I was talking about a minute ago. So because a difference of negative 1.4 or less occurs 9.5% of the time, which is greater than 5%, the results of the experiment are likely or they're usual and they're not unusual. The reasoning is that difference occurs more than 5% of the time. All right, and then the last question, question 7. There's a lot going on here to read. Basically, the plants with the new food grew 2 inches more than the plants with the old food. So we're looking at a difference of 2 or more. And you can tell which way they did this subtraction because all the answer choices are +2. The frequency is just summing these up. 4, 2, 1, and 1 is 8. They did this 50 times, so there's 50 dots. 8 out of 50 is 16%. So this is not unusual at all. It's not statistically significant. That's why I got rid of choice 3 and 4. And then we're looking at a difference of +2 or more. It's not uncommon, it's fairly common. Uncommon would be it's less than 5% of the time, so that's why this is answer choice 2. So hopefully you feel pretty good about this lesson. What you need to do now is finish your blue sheet, turn that into the sub. You can work together on that. And then the remaining time in class, you need to work on your yellow test review packet, as we'll review Tuesday in class, and your test will be Thursday. See you all next week. Have a good weekend.